It's a great question because I think so many women are in a dangerous situation in South Africa. The first thing to do is realize that you are in that situation
Mm.
and realize that you're not alone. And I think it's very important to develop allies, to find an army, to speak to people, just to find people that you can talk to about the situation you're in who will rally around you and help you. I think one of the things that abusers do is they isolate their victim and they cut off her and sometimes his support system and support structure and network. And the very first thing that someone who does feel in danger needs to take action by speaking to other people and getting allies on board to stand with them and help them. That's absolutely crucial. I think the reason I did this was because I was a single father. And I realized the absolute necessity that fathers, the incredible role that fathers play in the lives of their children. So many of my kids' friends also didn't have fathers. And a lot of them would come around to our house, and you could just see such a deep, deep hunger in these young boys and girls for a father figure. Single moms in this country are heroes. I mean, the work that they're doing and what they're doing, in spite of the lack of support from the father of their children, is absolutely magnificent. And yet there's such a major, major gap in our nation. Fatherlessness. We're one of the most unfathered nations in the world. And I really saw the pain in boys and girls growing up without a father. And that also often translates into boys becoming dangerous, boys harming themselves. The suicide rates amongst men are 4 times higher than women. Men harming others, the murder rates and perpetuation of gender-based violence by men is way, way higher than women, way higher. And so a lot of that is a result of boys being unfathered, undisciplined, unvalidated. It takes an older man to impart to a younger man what it means to be a man. And so there's deep hunger in our nation for father figures, and the fact that we are one of the worst in the world when it comes to gender-based violence. We're known as the rape capital of the world. And I have a daughter. I have a son and a daughter, and just really felt compelled and driven to get involved in this, restoring men to be good fathers, mentors, and role models. Absolutely crucial. No, they're not enough. We have a center in Alexandra, the No Excuse Center, which is a brick and mortar center, and it's manned by a couple of our guys and also some counselors from Lifeline, which is fantastic. There are other organizations such as Matrix Men. They do a lot of work with men, restoring them. Lifeline itself is very good. We have a hotline, 0800 50 50, which is, or 150 150, where men and women can phone in regarding gender-based violence issues. I know the Department of Social Development does a lot of work in this area. So they're not enough, but there are some, which is encouraging, and I think it's growing. Yeah, the book, No Excuse for Abuse, I wrote that because I saw the fact that most people getting involved in the issue of gender-based violence were focusing on creating awareness. And that's good. We need to create awareness. But that's not going to fix the problem. We need to go far deeper than that. We need to understand why gender-based violence is happening in the first place. No boy is born an abuser. No boy comes out of his mother's womb with his DNA wired to be an abuser, a racist, a misogynist, any of those things. Something goes wrong on the journey from boy to man. And so we need to understand what is it that's going wrong. So the book talks a bit about the journey from boy to man and what goes wrong. What is it that causes a man to abuse a woman when it's just totally, totally anti-masculine and anti-humanity? So that's one of the themes. Why does this abuse happen? Remember, there are no excuses ever, but there are reasons. And if we understand the reasons, we can come up with solutions. And then another theme is the 5 actions that men can take to overcome gender-based violence, to stop this scourge of abuse. So we talk to men and we say, well, because men are the primary perpetrators, particularly of physical and sexual abuse, we need to be the drivers of putting an end to it. And then we talk about I write about 5 things that women can do to add their power to the cause. So those are kind of the themes that run through the book.
Mm.
So it's a very good question. What are the factors that contribute to gender-based violence? Because as I said earlier, it's not in the DNA of man to abuse. Something's gone horribly wrong. It's not true masculinity, it's false masculinity that abuses. So if you look, for me, there are 4 key underlying reasons. The one is wounded masculinity. Boys who grow up unvalidated, with a lack of sense of identity, unfathered, really, unfathered. And because of that, they grow up with a deep sense of inadequacy. And that's a wound that many men carry into adulthood, not having been validated and disciplined and mentored. And so there's a deep sense of inadequacy, and a lot of gender-based violence and self-violence as well comes about in this need to prove myself. I need to be the man. I need to be dominant. I need to be powerful. And it comes out of a deep sense of woundedness, inadequacy. The second thing is false understanding of what it means to be a man. We have so many narratives in society, the four big lies, I call them, about what it means to be a man is sex, power, money, and big boys don't cry. All of those are lies. Big boys do cry. They need to be vulnerable. A man's masculinity is not measured by how many sexual partners he has, or how much money he has, or how much power he has. And if we have a false concept of what it means to be a man, we're going to act this out in society. And that's a big contributing factor to gender-based violence. The third factor is a wrong concept about the value of women. A lot of boys grow up and a lot of men grow up thinking that women are less than, or women's place is that. And it's a totally false narrative. If we see women as sex objects or less than us, then it's going to lead to some form of gender-based violence, either physically or verbally. We need to see women as equal co-creators of our future. And once we see women as equal partners in this, there's far less likelihood of gender-based violence. And then finally, of course, in South Africa, emasculating circumstances, mass unemployment, men who are trying their hardest to provide, but cannot find a job. And that leaves a sense of uselessness and inadequacy, and that can also contribute. So those are the four underlying reasons why a lot of GBV happens. I think it's very true. I think a lot of men don't ask for help and don't ask for directions. Women are far better at doing that. Women are also far better at talking about their vulnerabilities and their needs and asking questions and asking for help. Men don't do that. And I think society puts a lot of pressure on men to just get up and go with it, make it happen, take it on the chin, man up, don't cry. And so there's not a lot of material out there for fathers and for expectant fathers. Fortunately, that's changing. There is a lot more now than there used to be. Pregnancy guides will talk, pages and pages to giving women advice on how to deal with this, but very little material out there about, as a man, what do I do to help be a helper through the situation of being my wife being pregnant and expectant and through the birth and through the fatherhood. So it's just the fact that, number one, men don't ask for help, and number two, not enough focus is on men and boys on how to be good men. And that's why I wrote the booklet, The Six-Pack of Masculine Virtues, which really is designed to be the voice of the father that boys never had, teaching them what it is to be a good man, because we need to do that. It's not something that just comes naturally. I'd love just to say to every man, and particularly every father, with Father's Day approaching, you are the most important man in the life of your children. You are your son's first hero. You are your daughter's first romance. And how you pitch up as a father, not just as a father, but as a man, how you live your life and lead your life and model to them life will have a massive impact on both your son and your daughter. In many ways, you hold the hearts of your children in your hand. And you as a man need to step up and make sure that you take that responsibility very seriously. The second thing I want to say to every man is you absolutely have what it takes. Don't believe the lie that you're inadequate or that you're less than. How tall you are, how rich you are, whatever your level of education or your background, you are enough to be the man and the father that this world and your children need you to be.